Hey everybody, this is Marley K. Hope you all are well. Happy Monday. I have a story that coincides with another story that I'm going to bring you shortly, but it is tied to money and currency, the NWO, all these different economic agendas that they have set for us, and smart cities. So I'm going to put it all together for you. And although you may not see all the pieces right now, please don't think I'm crazy, but I'm just sharing this because things are happening in other countries and they are having happening bit by bit here in America, but most people cannot see the total picture as it is coming together. All these pieces are almost in place, and so I need to make you aware so that you will be prepared for how you're going to manage and live in this new economic system once everything flips. I guess that's the best way to say it. This story is about universal basic income and how these different cities, especially cities where there are large, poor Black and Hispanic populations, are doing these testings on how to on just basically giving people a certain amount of money per month with no strings attached. And you can do whatever you want to with this money, but you're gonna be tracked. And that's the thing that most people don't really understand. They can monitor um, what it is that you do, and you're not it's not a freedom. You think it is, oh, I have $500, I can do what I want to do, but it's associated with a card, and it's a piece of that digital currency that most people don't really understand. When these are people like the World Economic Forum, they talk about we're testing something right now. When they say they're testing something, it literally means they are actually doing something somewhere in the world, giving people something, and people, it's usually tested on poor people, the most desperate among us, who are the least educated on politics, economics, or whatever. People who are desperate, they will test these things out, and those people will agree to whatever the conditions are because they don't understand the big picture. So they give these people these opportunities to get this free money for a year, and you get a free extra $500 or $1,000 or whatever it is, and all you have to do is take this card, and you can use it wherever you want to. But we, keep a track keep track of how you spend this money. That is basically what the new social credit system, digital currency, is all about. It's about the government giving you some money, you're taking it, and then they're going to allow you to do whatever you want to do with this money in the beginning. As things ratchet up and they get this thing rolled out, they're going to start programming it so that you can't use this currency uh, any place they don't want you to use it. And you're going to have privileges based on your behavior. So if you're like me, you're trying to wake people up and consider a little radical, a little rebellious, you talk too much, your score is going to be poo poo. You're not going to be able to do nothing. If you're good, or a good slave, or a quiet slave, or not rebellious, or don't cause any problems, you have a high score. You'll be able to use your money at more places. You'll be able to have snacks. You'll be able to go get popcorn. You'll be able to go to the movies. You'll be able to ride the train and not have to walk or ride your bike. You'll be able to get gas. Your car won't be turned off for, whatever. Maybe you'll have a little daily limit. Maybe you'll be able to fly and visit your family members. So there could be a lot of things that come with this universal basic income, and this liberty in the beginning, no strings attached. They always sell you everything with no strings attached, but in the end, you are a slave because they always get you in the end. Just think about 9/11. Oh, they're going to save us from bad people on airplanes. You take your shoes off and take little toothpaste and soap. No liquids, yada, yada, yada. Go through the body scanner. We've been doing that for 19, 20 years, maybe, a little less than 20 years. But the point is, nothing has happened. They say we are safer, but we've never regained the freedoms that we lost, and we never will. And so if you agree to this system that is coming in, and you take this universal basic income, you don't have another way to or you don't have your own forms of currency to escape what's coming, you're going to be caught in the middle. You're either going to have to go with their system, or you're going to starve to death. So I'm sharing these stories with you so that you can begin to think about how you're going to either go along with the system and what it's going to look like, or if you have some other idea of what you don't want to do, then you need to be thinking about, how am I going to not be a part of this system? Because this system is being ushered in. They're doing these experiments all over the place. But I'm going to read you this story, and then I'll just give you the summation of what I think about it at the end. So here in Chicago, they're going to give away $500 a month, no strings. It's a Chicago experiments with a guaranteed income, which is basically a universal income. And for the record, I will say this is what Andrew Yang was. Andrew Yang was nothing but an operative. A whole time he kept talking about this universal basic income, universal basic income. He's this millionaire, this very rich Asian person, well connected. And this is all he kept talking about. I have a plan for universal basic income. Like, he just came out of nowhere. Campaign didn't make any sense. Then he moved from California to New York, and, pretty much touted the same thing. You got to watch these people, because these people pop up out of nowhere with these brilliant ideas, and they get people all attached. Yeah, free money. I like that idea, because, we're all slaves now. But at the end of the day, it's just a trap. They created a problem, they introduced a solution, and they introduced it slowly. It's predictive programming. And so now they're going to do the experiment. And then the next thing you know, in a couple of years, we're going to be all slaves to this new system. And this is going to be how we survive, because we're not going to have any jobs, or we're going to be making less money. The cost of living is going to be sky high. We're not going to be able to afford food. A lot of people are going to die. It's just going to be bad. And so the government is going to give you this money, but it's going to come with strings. It doesn't come with strings now, but baby, it's going to come with strings later. Let me tell you. So here we go. For recipients, it's a lifeline. For liberal supporters, it shows how expanding government can make a difference. I don't know how, because we don't have any money. For conservatives, it's a return to wasteful welfare handouts. And of course, here they go with the same old stereotypical, you know, starting this thing in a place where it's usually Black people getting it, so that people will have something to say about it. Like, it's controversial, because if it's given to Black people or brown people, it's considered a handout, welfare. If you start off giving it to white people, it's the right thing to do, something else. So anywho, tens of thousands of Chicagoans apply for the basic income program, and Christopher Ellington was among the 5,000 who received a monthly $500. Christopher Ellington's South Side photography studio crashed in 2020 with the onset of the pandemic. By March 2021, he was scraping by on tax preparation and financial advice business when gunshots rang out one day as he was leaving work. 2 bullets from a drive-by shooter pierced his head and left him permanently blind. The creditors were closing in, the rent notices piling up, and then a helping hand came late last summer from Mayor Lori Lightfoot's administration. The first of a year's worth of monthly $500 checks with no strings attached and almost no questions asked. Notice they said almost. And notice the story. You see they give you the sad story in the beginning. Oh, we give it to this poor guy who's down on his luck and he's blind and had a set of circumstances thanks to the pandemic. Of course, again, it's a problem that was created from shutdowns and this bioweapon that was released allegedly in the earth. But as you can see, they created a problem and now they're giving you the solution. Talk about shock, said Mr. Ellington, 32. It was, hey, the government is doing this? Wait a minute. I don't have to, report this and report that. And you don't have to go through all of my business. And I don't have to watch what I say. I was like, this is how it should be. See how they do? It's classic. Chicago and surrounding suburbs of Cook County are conducting the largest experiment of its kind in the nation, an effort to supply thousands of residents with a basic level of subsistence, not in the form of food, housing, or childcare, just cash. Miss Lightfoot's 31.5 million resilient communities pilot selected 5,000 city residents in August to receive a guaranteed cash income for a year. The first $500 from a separate program, a $42 million county pilot, went out in December to 33,250 residents, concentrated in the in Chicago suburbs. And they have a picture of the little black man with his stuff on in his walking stick. The permanently blind man that I described at the beginning. On Monday at the National Association of Counties Conference in Washington, which started over the weekend and runs through Tuesday, county executives will announce a network of county-level basic income programs to match the mayoral initiatives that have sprouted to 50 cities. So see how this thing is spreading out? This is how it's going to become national. But they're doing it secretly, and if you're not paying attention, you'll just think, oh, it just happened to pop out of thin air. But they're like literally taking taxpayer money or money from someplace, and instead of fixing up stuff and creating jobs or whatever, they're making people comfortable with this not having to work and the government give you an allowance. And they tell you don't have to report anything. But of course, you're going to have to report something. So notice, though, they don't tell you what it is, what questions you have to answer, and how that happens. Both Chicago and Cook County are tapping money sent to local governments through the 2021 pandemic relief law known as the American Rescue Plan, given by Papa. Both programs are administered by a group, Give Directly, that have been better known for helping poor people in developing nations. The city and county efforts are being assessed by social scientists at the University of Chicago. So if they're being studied by the University of Chicago, then that means they have to have some type of study, and they have to have submit something because they're going to be working with actual people and actually getting information from them. So this is not like it's free money. It's not free. This was a once-in-a-lifetime moment for us to be bold and innovative, said Brandy Nas, commissioner of the Chicago Department of Family and Support Services. For Democrats, the concept is a wager on big government at a time when faith in democratic governance is at a low ebb. For Republicans, it's a return to discredited welfare handouts that waste money and foster dependency. Whatever the outcome, the spread of basic income programs is a reminder of the growing divide between Democrats and Republicans, urban voters and rural conservatives, those who want more government in people's lives and those who want less. There's no indication that I see that the American public thinks that what we really need is more aid to people who chose or who choose not to work, said Robert Rector, a conservative public assistance expert at the Heritage Foundation. Oh my God. Anywho, Heritage Foundation has its own issues. But anyway, but in democratic cities, in states deep blue and bright red, such as Columbia, South Carolina, and just keep in mind, the Democrats have decided to put South Carolina as voting first in the primaries coming, I guess, this year, March. So see how all this stuff is tied to politics. They'll do anything to just make people vote for them, and they'll give it to poor people or people who are desperate and will take this stuff with no strings attached, and who don't really know about what's coming on. Because I guarantee you, most people don't know about the New World Order and all these different agendas for this digital currency and smart cities and lockdowns and so on and so forth. Mayor Lightfoot may be in the throes of a difficult campaign for re-election, but none of her 8 rivals for the Democratic mayoral nomination ahead of the first round of voting on February 28th have made an issue of her guaranteed income effort. Instead, the mayor is picking a fight with the National Republican Party. These are the same people that didn't want to expand health care. And look at the number of people in their communities, these ruby red communities that are suffering, Ms. Lightfoot said. These are the same people, frankly, that are attacking the very core of our democracy, demonizing being different, demonizing being the other, based upon your religion, creed, who you love, your gender identity. She added, I'm the mayor of the city of Chicago. I know what our people need. You're a politician, and you crook. Anywho, Adrian Talbot, Associate Dean for Civic Engagement at the Crown Family School of Social Work at the University of Chicago, called the effort a prime example of Democrats' assertion that government can work. He added that the expectation was with big bets on behalf of traditionally marginalized, vulnerable populations in light of the pandemic, government can meet this moment. Mm-hmm. Anytime they say government, y'all better learn to run. But that's just my 2 cents. Anywho, back to the story. For Chicago and Cook County, Mr. Talbot continued, guaranteed basic income is the tip of the spear. The income cutoff for Chicago and Cook County is forgiving. 250% of the federal poverty level, or $36,450 a year for an individual, and $75,000 for a family of 4, though acceptance was weighted towards certain groups such as homeless people, veterans, and caregivers. University of Chicago researchers are using surveys, in-person interviews, and economic, labor, criminal, legal, and educational data to track recipients of the money and even larger control group not selected for the grants. And an even larger control group not selected for the grants. So let me read this to you again. University of Chicago researchers are using surveys, meaning they are either administering these surveys in person, by mail, by email, text message, some kind of way. They are interviewing these people. And it says they're doing it in person, and they're using economic, which means unemployment data, or check stubs, or receipts of what you spend. Labor, meaning they will check to see if you're working, again, unemployment data, or employment data, employment verification. Criminal, which means they are going into your criminal background. Legal and educational data, which means that they are going to use LexisNexis or local, state, county government records uh, to determine whether or not you have a criminal record or are having any legal issues. And educational data, which means they're going to verify probably with the Department of Education what your educational attainment level is, whether you graduated from high school or college, if you've been to community college, all kinds of information. So you're giving away a lot of information for $500 a month. Or, I don't know how much, I guess, I don't know, maybe it's $5,000 per year. Let me see. Let me add it up. Gotta check. Sorry, I'm on my calculator. 500 times 12, $6,000. So $6,000 for 1 year. $6,000, you're going to give away all this information, and this is free data, because for that $6,000, you're allowing them to use all this data to decide how they're going to create this new system they're planning on implementing. And even the people who weren't selected likely had to sign some type of waiver so that they can collect all this information in order to vet who would be able to receive this $500 per month. So the whole entire process, data was given away to these people, and people don't even really understand what is happening. So it's really scary. But again, as you saw, they're rolling this out in all 50 states. So we're not going to be able to escape this. And you see they're using the poor people and desperate people to collect this data from. And those are the people that are primarily going to be impacted by these universal basic incomes, this digital currency, these smart cities, people who are just basically trapped in bad areas and not able to leave. This is what's going to happen. Ms. Lightfoot said the future of the pilot project would depend on the university's assessment. Tony Preckwinkle, president of the Cook County Board of Commissioners, insisted that the county project would not end when the federal funds were exhausted. Notice that they said federal funds, so that means this money comes from the federal government. It's our taxpayer money is going towards developing this social credit score system and this universal basic income system. The county will tap funds from newly legalized cannabis sales. That's why they're pushing everybody to smoke weed. Y'all gonna be smoking weed and getting high, buying your dope, and funding these universal basic income programs. You're gonna be high and enslaved, high and stuck in smart cities and can't go no place. High and getting your little $500 or $1,500 or whatever it is that they give you free, and you're gonna have to behave and do exactly what they say. You're gonna be in the metaverse, and you ain't coming out, and that's what's really getting ready to happen. But most people can't see that because they don't follow the dots. The county will tap funds from the newly legalized cannabis sales and other revenue streams to keep it going. They don't tell you what the other revenue streams are, but that just means they're gonna start locking people up, and it's a racket. It's a Ponzi scheme. They're robbing Peter to pay Paul. They're going to use the university's assessment to guide it and decide whether to expand it. When she talks about the origins of the guaranteed basic income concept, Ms. Preckwinkle invokes not only the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but also the more confrontational Black Panthers. Oh, here we go. Notice they tie it to Black people. Oh, America is so predictable. Everything hinges on vilifying us, and then they'll glamorize people that they once hated and say, oh, well, these people said they wanted that. Dr. Martin Luther King, at the end, before they killed him, he said he wanted reparations. He wanted his check. He was coming to Washington to get his check, and not a universal basic income check. He wanted reparations, money that was clear. We could do whatever we wanted to with it. And, this is just, a continuation of how um, the dominant society manipulates Black leadership, um, groups they once hated, individuals or leaders in our community that they once vilified and helped to destroy. And then they'll turn around, 50 years later and say, oh, well, these people were good. And this is what they said. Dr. Martin Luther King did not say he want us to have universal basic income. He said reparations before he died. He immediately changed I won't say immediately, but he evolved in his thinking about universal basic income, um, and decided that reparations would be better. What's happened in this country historically is these ideas get tried out at the local level in cities and counties and states. And when there's enough momentum, they get adopted by the federal government, she said. So that's what we're hoping will happen. So they're going to use poor people who are desperate. And of course, they're going to say, oh, $500, I don't have to do nothing but to give y'all my information. All y'all wanted some information and I don't have to pay for nothing. People do not understand how valuable their information is and how much of a commodity now we all are. Data and humans are the new slaves. Data is the new plantation. To conservatives, it's little wonder that a program funded by federal taxpayers that doles out money with no strings attached would be popular to cities and recipients. But Rector said previous experience in cash assistance, like a negative income tax program for the poor in the 1970s, showed employment reduction and negative impacts on marriage that lasted long after efforts ended. And that is the truth. And so our community is being targeted again at a time when we have these manosphere, modern woman wars going on that was created by the same people who are giving you all these other solutions to problems that they created in the past. Programs like the Earned Income Tax Credit for low wage workers and work requirements imposed in the 90s were a corrective to those failures, she said. The latest incarnation, Guaranteed Basic Income, will keep its able-bodied recipients in extended adolescence. And it's really good if you could do it with a boatload of free federal money, Mr. Rector said. The proliferation of such programs is a clear statement that we want a post-work economy, he added. Liberal academics have their own criticisms of the program, which gained prominence when the 2020 presidential candidate Andrew Yang proposed $1,000 a month for universal basic income. A 2019 report by European labor unions expressed worry that unconditional cash assistance to create a universal income floor in a developed economy might render targeted social services obsolete, ending government functions that ensure equitable health care, child care, and educational services. With so many social service programs struggling under the weight of bureaucracy and inefficiency, the Chicago area pilot programs are aimed not only at efficiently delivering assistance, but also rescuing citizens' faith in government at a time when democratic principles are being questioned, advocates say. Mr. Ellington remembered getting his application in at the last moment as one of 176,000 Chicagoans who applied in just 3 weeks. So 176,000 people have decided to give the University of Chicago their data, give them permission to collect all this information, even the people who were not selected. Keep in mind, only 5,000 people are going to get this money. So 160 something, 61,000 people, 65,000 people, 66,000 people are going to, oh, more than that, or like 167, 860 something thousand people will give their data over to the University of Chicago to use to build this social credit score system, to use to determine what types of people would apply for the universal basic income programs. It's just mind-boggling. He heard back that he had been accepted just days later. The first check arrived within weeks, and because the programs do not count against other relief efforts like Social Security payments, that $500 is a true income boost. It completely transformed my view of the government. Did y'all hear what this brother said? That is what they want. They want the view of the government to be transformed, which is why they're giving away free money. Not only in Chicago, but nationally, he said. It gave me an inkling of hope that things are happening. So I am going to include this in the description, but I just wanted to bring you this story because it is so interesting at how this social credit score system is being built. Is happening discreetly. People are not able to connect the dots because they are selling it as something else. And if you look at other countries, like in I think it's Brazil, and I told you I'm working on a story now, but in Brazil, if you don't have if you don't agree to use the digital currency, you can't get your government benefits. So these people are probably going to continue to get this $500 or whatever the amount may increase, and it may be more or less in other places. But eventually, these people are going to have to get this digital currency and be tracked, or they're not going to be able to get this money. And if they're relying on this money or the rules change and they're going to have to report this as income and it's going to decrease the other types of income that they get, these people are going to be trapped. So at the end of the day, it's all a Ponzi scheme. And I just want to talk to you about it so that you can make sure that you don't sign up for it. You could tell other people about it. If you decide to, I don't want to tell anybody to not take anything because, hey, times are hard. But what I do want to tell you is that if you do take it, or if you don't take it, have a plan of what you're going to do when this thing is rolled out, because it's coming fast. If they're rolling it out to all 50 cities, they're going to do this experiment in maybe a year. They're going to collect this data, synthesize it, report back to the federal government and to whoever else, the hidden hands. And probably by next year, 2025, this thing is going to be here. And I don't know how long they're going to keep this economy propped up. But if it falls before then and they decide to roll this out, this is what we're going to be dealing with. And these people, these poor people, will be responsible for shaping what that looks like because they were told they got money with no strings attached. They think it's going to always stay like that, but it is not. So with that said, y'all please like the video, please share it. Subscribe to the channel and my other channels in case this channel gets taken off the air. A lot of YouTube channels are being censored and pulled or given strikes and they can't upload. So if I can't upload, you come here and you haven't seen anything from me in about a week, check with my Rumble or my Odyssey channel, and the links are in the description. If you like this work, please consider giving me a donation via Venmo or Coffee, because I don't get paid. My channel is not monetized, and I do this just because I love people. I do it when I have time, but I love my people and I want us to be well. I love my people. And I just see us continue to fall into these traps because we love money. And I won't even say that we love money, because we're poor and we're desperate and they keep luring us with these financial trinkets. We're just so easily taken and used. But this is going to be the ultimate dupe. And a lot of people don't understand what's coming. So again, warn your family, warn your friends, be aware of what is coming down the pipe, and make plans. If you take the money, it's on you. You know what's coming. I'm telling you what's coming. They're not telling you what's coming. Well, they are telling you what's coming, because nobody's hiding anything anymore. But I'm here to try to break it down and put the pieces together for you so that you can understand. If you decide to take this money, you're not only hurting yourself in the long run, you're hurting everybody who's also unaware, or even those who are aware. When you take it, it's co-signing. I agree with this policy that's coming down the pipe. And when things change, you gotta take the good with the bad. You gotta own it. So don't be hoodwinked. Is my message. All right, y'all. I'm out. Please leave me your comments below in the comment section. Please be polite. But if you know of anybody who is getting this money and, aware of what types of questions they have to uh, answer and the frequency, please let us know in the comments. I'm interested, because this article didn't tell us, but I would like to know. All right, y'all. I'm out.